Hey, everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show, powered by SoundCloud Studios, brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Moses is Missing, available on Amazon, paperback and ebook. Coming soon, Missing 2, Double the Suspense, Double the Fun. Check it out on Amazon. Also brought to you by a sweet psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of David Queen, theories, quiz of pains, and King David Psalms. Check it out today, Amazon.com, keyword sweet psalmist Serena Wagner. And check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, 50 podcast platforms, 110 countries. Follow us on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, and more. We're here with a terrific gentleman who's a retired U.S. Navy officer, grew up in Normal, Oklahoma. He turned novelist and spent 28 years in the military. He's earned multiple awards. He also earned his MBA in 1990, a master's in national security and strategies, and studies in 04. Joined the U.S. Navy in 93, served as 3 combat staffs as well. He's got a new book offering a compelling look at the future through a lens of history inspired by real-life military, scientific, and diplomatic figures. The book is called SESG Explorer, which is part of the Brannigan Saga. Live, ladies and gentlemen, at Plus Studios, somewhere in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee, in the outskirts of it. He is a retired U.S. Navy officer turned novelist, and the book is called SESG Explorer, multi-talent, Christopher Loric. Christopher, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on board, Christopher. So you're a retired U.S. Navy officer turned novelist. You earned a number of awards. You grew up in Norman, Oklahoma. You spent 28 years in the military. You earned your MBA in 1990, your master's in national security and strategy studies in 04. You also joined the U.S. Navy in 93, served in 3 combat command staffs. You have a new book which offers a compelling look at the future through a lens of history inspired by real-life military, scientific, and diplomatic figures. And it's basically rooted in a classic problem-solving spirit of 1950s sci-fi without the use of technology, the use of the mind. It's called SESG Explorer, part of the Brannigan series. Before we get on, Christopher, tell us how you first got started.
Well, I started trying to write, and I say tried to write back in my college days, but then my studies took over. So then I joined the military and real life there took over. But in 2006, when I was deployed in Iraq, the novel I wanted to write was this novel, SESG Explorer. And it was heavy Navy Marine Corps centric because that's what I knew at that time. But when I came back from Iraq, again, my other duties with 1st Marine Division and then later in Korea, U.S. Forces Korea, just consumed me. So I finished it in 21 and went through the publishing cycle in 22. I updated it with the new Space Force. It's a joint force that is going out into deep space to meet the Comoricans. So that's in a nutshell how it got started. But characters come to mind. It's almost like they walk in and say, "Tell my story."
That's really unique. You know, characters walk up to you and say, "Come on, tell my story, please. I don't know how to tell mine. Tell mine, please."
Yeah. And that's, in essence, the main character, Admiral Brannigan. He is a compilation of partially myself, but admirals that I've worked with, as well as senior officers, and kind of the way we think in an operational setting. I give throughout the book a little bit about his background. As an officer growing up in the military, being assigned to the UN, developing diplomatic skills along with his military expertise. But I surround him with pretty much one chief scientist who wrangles all the other scientists that are in the fleet. He has a diplomat, and then his officers, which of course answer through his deputy commander to him. It's really based off of command structure, our thought process of encountering different situations. Try not to resort to violence, even though they find themselves in plenty of danger where violence is a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, the only real science fiction technology is the hyperspace drive and the ion sublight drive. I don't go into that. This is more of a space opera and military operations with a heavy dose of diplomacy, with a smaller dose of science behind it. Uh, it's technology we could actually produce today on the planet. Instead, like I said, the hyperspace drive, and I don't think DARPA has worked out a shield technology, but I do have shields in there for the ships.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you've got some technology in there as well too, which could be used as well. And what was that one exact precise moment that simply influenced you into what you do in the rest of your career, especially writing?
Back in my college days, I took it was actually in 1983, my first college courses. We took a movie type college course, and we focused in on Alfred Hitchcock and his movies. And we had to write various things for the show or the course. And I wrote a short story that I really enjoyed. uh, did a good job on it. The instructor really enjoyed it. And I was going to really try and develop it when I ran across a novel in one of our local drugstores that was, in essence, my short story, but already full length novel and published.
Mm-hmm.
So I turned towards a totally different novel, and I was doing the research on it. But I really put aside trying to write short stories or poems because, again, my studies really needed my attention more than my creative side. And then I got into the military, and that was a totally different world. But I found enough time being deployed to Iraq for a year to crank out SESG Explorer. And then when I retired, um, I was forced to stay at home because my wife was battling breast cancer at the time.
Okay.
So, with her treatment, having to take care of her, and we happened to have two new puppies at the same time.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Thanks. So it just became when she's asleep, the puppies are either playing or down. What do I do? So I went back to the book and finished it.
Mm. Oh my gosh.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, and after getting SESG published, I've been able to get the second book, Minerva, now published, which continues the saga. SESG Explorer was the first book in the saga. Now I have Minerva out there. Uh, that's the spelling. And
But I was going to say, what's with the U instead of the E? I was just curious.
uh, it's just the way there was really no thought in it. Just Minerva was the name I wanted. And when I typed it out, it came out with a U. And then later,
Oh,
I when I'm looking back at the Greek mythology and bands and all that, everything is really spelled with an E. I'm like, well, cool. That's the uniqueness of it. It's not like everything else, but that's the spelling that uh, the characters wanted me to use on this book.
that
And
is rather interesting, and maybe some of the characters who are scream, "Come on, tell me this story and everything," and we'll get to that. And who are your other favorite authors, writers, and favorite books growing up, Chris?
well, the latest one, and I haven't really seen much of his work lately, is Stephen R. Donaldson. He did the Thomas Covenant trilogies. Uh, there's three of those out.
Uh huh.
I've read two of the three trilogies, and he did the Chaos. I think it's the Chaos Universe. I'd have to look at my shelf back there, which he went from a fantasy world to a sci-fi world, and the way he worked in there, he took from Norse mythos and kind of twisted that over into a sci-fi uh, type storytelling, and it was very intriguing. And that also kind of helped formulate some of what I was doing with the saga in there. Um, not a There's only one area that I recall him really delving into science, so to speak, and that was when he was doing a brain mapping and
Oh,
neural
wow.
net
Okay.
on a person to control her to do whatever the bad guy who kind of turns into an anti-hero.
Uh-huh.
Uh, he was using that to control her and whatever he wanted her to do, and yet she was still able to escape from him. So, but I don't go into that type with this one. That's kind of how I'm working a sci-fi romance type novel. I'm kind of going down that pathway a little bit with that. Since some fans want me to write a romance novel, I'll put in a space setting.
Oh, there you go. And I think that's a great idea. More on SESG Explorer and Minerva with Christopher Loric, part of the Brannigan saga. But first, you listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by SoundCloud Studios. Visit online at SoundCloudStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, SoundCloud Studios is the answer. SoundCloud Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960 or email to support@soundclubstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon on paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia's got great reviews. And Eva Levin enjoys by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassie, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today of Furco's Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Coming soon, Missing 2, Double the Suspense, Double the Fun. Check it out on Amazon. Also brought to you by Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of David, including 30 exquisite paintings and King David's Psalms. And Sweet Psalmist gives a new perspective of David through the Psalms he wrote as the time of shipwreck started and complicated yet turn relationship with King Saul. It's a story of love, betrayal, repentance, hope, and more. Check out the Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner on Amazon. Keyword Sweet Psalmist Serena Wagner. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com. 50 podcast platforms, 110 countries. Tickets with you on any mobile device. Follow us on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, also Apple Music, BitChute, Rumble, and more. And also LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok, Instagram. And for t-shirts, pop-up, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Great books, merchandise, and more, and support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We're here with the amazing retired U.S. Navy officer turned novelist and earned numerous awards, Christopher Loric, here on the Mike Wagner Show with SESG Explorer, part of the Brannigan series, along with Minerva. Before getting back to those books, you had won a number of awards as well, too, and I'm trying to find a list here. You had so many, like with Defense Meritorious Service Medals 4 times, also named Marine Corps, and everything like that. I mean, you all got awards.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Defense Meritorious Service Medals comes from my 3 combatant commands, U.S. Forces Korea, U.S. Strategic Command, U.S. Africa Command. And the last one was my last assignment with the NATO headquarters for transformation, where, how to explain that? Not only am I a plans and operations officer, I was a requirements officer. So I had to look at what capabilities do we want in the military and what's the requirement that would justify that capability and the expenditure of dollars. NATO has something very similar to that. So my last duty station, I was there doing various analysis upon the NATO countries and what they had and what capabilities did we want as an out alliance, a political slash military alliance. And how do you look at the threats around that? One of the things I saw within NATO that I thought we really needed was a forward-looking visionary document. What parts of NATO already was doing that, and there were staff that were looking out at 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. But the discipline I was supporting did not have that, and they
Huh.
really didn't want the operational side. I ran into resistance. My command ran into assistance with our sister headquarters. They didn't want that. They just want to concentrate on the fight tonight. And it's like, well, you have to be part of what we're going to be fighting not only tonight, but 5 years from now, 10 years. And how are you going to command and control whatever we're able to provide you to do that? So that was an interesting dynamic, especially being that I'm U.S. military, and that's kind of the way we looked at the world, with some European allies that never looked at the world that way. So that's kind of where some of the diplomacy, even with the military, you have to have diplomacy between military members of other nations in order to move forward, especially as an alliance.
Mhm. It made me think about the whole thing that the European allies have a different timetable, time set, mindset, and everything like that. You talked about, you having a 5, 10 year plan, but they want like, 1 year right now, everything like that. That's where guys somehow butted heads. Was that the same system that the European allies had, that like 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or what was their time frame like? What was their version of it?
It really depended more on which country we're talking to, or where they were at. Again, shape or the operational side in Belgium, really we're not looking at 5 or 10 years. They were looking more at, well, we could be in war right now. So, I'm more worried about what that is, or what operations they were actually supporting, because NATO is actually involved in several different operations around Europe. Uh, so they were just looking at primarily that, what's in front of them right now. And it was my command that was more of that visionary, what are we going to be facing? Uh, what logistics are going to have to be adjusted or created to support that future fight? And in a way, that's kind of what I am trying to address in Minerva. Admiral Brannigan gets back, and he has now met the Comoricans. He's been out there. So it's like, what capabilities do we need in order to counter what I now know is out there? And the diplomat, Michael Shea, is out there to try and find allies. But are they going to be able to actually communicate and figure out how are we going to work together, let alone what technology or capabilities they need? They're more basic than that. NATO has that era from the late 1940s that we have worked together. So we're kind of beyond those basics. But I find at times we fall back to the same basics.
Hmm. And of
Yeah.
course, what is other things that's lacking in international relations today, besides your typical communication barriers, language, and the persona and everything? And you mentioned there are conflicts. Like you visualize a year, 5 year, 10 years. They want it now and everything like that. And of course, Europe has been accustomed to war, constantly, especially what's happening Israel and Iran. So like it's like now, 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 bomb, bomb, bomb every single day.
And right. And like I said, it really depends which country you're talking about. The UK and France, for centuries, have been a little bit forward thinking. What do we need? The great arms race, the battleship race from the 1890s to World War II. And that was trying to figure out how are we going to make the bigger, baddest battleship out there So nobody wants to contest with us. And that's just another form of an arms race that can bankrupt countries.
Right. Yes. And I've read that, and I read that in reports as well too. That the U.S. would make all these cutting edge technology, big bombers, big ships, but then after all, it's like in about 5-10 years become obsolete, and some don't even get off the ground. So you build in a warehouse or garage, wherever it is, like it never gets out of there; it just sits.
right. And that was kind of Lockheed Martin back in the 1960s, looking at aircraft and what we were looking at. They were really forward thinking about technology and what the future could hold. And that's where now we get the stealth bomber and fighters and the F-35. All that really started in the 1960s based off of, the first jets coming out of the 1950s. The men and women of that era were really, in my mind, forward thinking people. And that's kind of how I'm trying to bring some of that into uh, the novels. And that's where, SESG Explorer, the Admiral comes along and there's already the 7 ship fleet in existence. And he does some revamping, which I just gave you the highlights of in the book, to revamp and bring more scientific capability to the fleet. Because originally it was just heavy military with very little science and no diplomacy. The admiral's like, but the mission is a diplomatic mission. I need a diplomat and a small staff. But he still was a heavy military presence because those are military ships going out. In Minerva, he's trying to now build a Earth fleet in order to take on the enemies that arose out of SESG Explorer. And I have a couple of discussions with the scientists about technology to make that fleet better, more capable, more effective in combat. And meanwhile, got other Earth expansion going on in Minerva, as well as a diplomat trying to find allies. A little bit more into that and kind of that, okay, forward thinking. And in the background is the politics. Do we want to be isolationists? Do we want to expand? And how fast do we expand if we do? And I don't really hit on that uh, heavily. It's just noise in the background that here's the military trying to develop capability with this political scene behind it. And that's, I find that happening in our world today, be it NATO, the EU, ASEAN, and the Pacific, uh, allies. Everybody has their interests
Mm-hmm.
and they want a piece of the pie, but they also have their interests, and that's where you get the conflicts.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the human common sense and ingenuity still exists today? Hasn't gotten better? Has it stayed the same? Or do you think it's gotten worse? And are we relying too much on futuristic technology?
Oh, I definitely think we're trying to rely too much on technology. We definitely do have, I can't tie saying this country or that country is better. We do have creativity and innovation, and there are people actually doing great work in that. Do I think we have kind of slid down in our performance and creativity than the men and women of the early 1900s through 1970s? I think so. I think we are not as innovative or creative or imaginative as those folks are. But we do have that capability still. We do have the level of motivation somewhere among our populace that takes their work and builds on it and takes us even forward. Um, I think looking at astrophysicists, for instance, I of course, you had Einstein, you have Hawking's, and you have Brian Cox, who have taken the work of the giants before them, and they're, well, now Stephen Hawking has passed on, but there's taking it. What's the next step? What are we looking at? And with the James Webb Telescope, which is technology, but it's now informing the cosmologists, astrophysicists, astronomers. Maybe we need to look at things differently.
Mhm.
So they had the insight.
Mhm. Especially indeed as well too, and of course another possible occurrence may happen if Earth make contact with aliens or aliens coming over. Of course, that's all tied to the books as well too, part of the Brankin series. And what happens if Earth make contact with aliens? What's going to happen? Possible aliens and more. We'll find out with Christopher Loric. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by SoundCloud Studios, brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Moses Missing. The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of David, including theories, exquisite paintings, and King David Psalms. Amazon.com, keyword Sweet Psalmist Serena Wagner. We'll be back with author Christopher Loric of the Brannigan Saga, featuring SESG Explorer and Minerva after this time. We're back with author Christopher Loric on the Mike Wagner Show with the Brannigan Saga, featuring SCSG Explorer and Minerva. And of course, we talked about some of the things like diplomacy, also human common sense, future technology, everything like that. The one thing, what might happen if Earth made contact with aliens, or would it be the other way around? Of course, according to the books, what happens?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought of. I think there's, what type of alien are you going to encounter? And be it we stumble on them or they stumble on us, uh, it boils down to intentions. You got the totally friendly alien that wants to help you out. You got the total hostile alien that wants to eat your face and conquer the planet. And then you
Just
got
like in the
the
cartoons. Greetings, Earthling. Do not get me angry.
exactly. Here, we come in peace. Or you get that middle of the road that I don't know quite who you are. I don't trust you. Maybe we can figure something out. And
Or
I
talking a
think,
different language where it may be like, a good language, a bad language, or whatever too. So sign language maybe.
eh, and that's just the communication style. But I would look at the either really friendly or the really hostile alien as on the same plane. If you're really friendly, wanting to help me out, what's your intention? What do you really want? The hostile one, I know what you want, but my response to those two would be very similar. I mean, one, I got to have the military might and the willpower to destroy because they're trying to destroy me. The other one, until I really know who and what you are, you being over friendly makes me nervous.
Right. Yeah. Just like a wolf in sheep's clothing, that principle.
Right. And whereas the other, that's more of human to human contact. You're a little bit suspicious of me. I'm a little bit suspicious of you. We may have something we want from each other. So now we can talk to each other. Uh, you're not trying to buy me off or destroy me. You're trying to figure me out, and I'll try to figure you out.
Exactly. Just like the case of the Comorigans, according to the Brand Saga, whole more intelligent alien race. Along the way, the Earth fleets encounters various planet stations, discover both friendly and hostile life forms and new technologies, resources, everything like that. And then you arrive, it's almost like, hoping for, peace and everything turns out to be a dogfight, especially in the first book.
Oh, definitely. Well, there's some real battles in Minerva. uh, but yeah, in SCSG Explorer, we finally get to Comorga, and I actually go through a thought process of how do we approach this planet? You know, do we send in one ship? Do we come in with total fleet? And if we jump in all at once, how do we not scare them and hopefully not get into a dogfight? Maybe we can figure it out. And that's where the diplomat comes in heavily to say, here's how I think we ought to do it, and let's put together a message. We had the Comorican language due to the message that we stumbled upon years ago. We have some idea of how to use that language. So that's what they do. They come in and they immediately broadcast a greeting for several times. And the Comoricans are, you don't see the Comoricans. This is still coming from the admiral and his crew's perspective. But for 3 days, there's silence. I mean, it's kind of like the Comoricans are caught flat-footed and they don't know what to do per se because they never had this situation happen to them. They're the ones that do it to everybody else.
Right. And of course, they're looking for other reasons, buy, sell, trade, and mentions, well, what would be the potential for trade? It's like, whether they're looking to trade, what's their resources, or it's, what, like here in America, you got oil, wheat, corn, that type of thing looking to trade. What do they offer in, for the Comoricans?
And I mean, I don't go
Or
into
like
great
gold, silver, copper, all that.
well, and there are resources, and they already went in from Earth's perspective. Here's what we're willing to trade, which is exactly what you're saying. Do they need rare earth minerals? Do they need lumber? Do they need finished products? Is it a mercantile type of relationship we're looking at where we get materials from them, we make a product and give it back to them or sell back to them? Those type of things. And at first, it looks like they're in trade negotiations. The admiral and Michael Shea, the diplomat, plus a small team, is on the planet for a week. The admiral and Mike are in discussions with the Comoricans, and the Comoricans are showing them different aspects of their planet. Now, one thing the humans do, they drop some recon SEAL teams onto Comorica in a very stealthy manner. So they're out there learning who the Comoricans are without the Comoricans knowing these teams are out there doing that. So a little bit of, what's the right term? I mean, they are spying on the Comoricans in that sense.
You mean scouting?
Yeah, they're out there scouting, but they're actually trying to learn more about the culture of the Comoricans and who they really are. And they stumble, one of my SEAL teams stumbles upon a creature called an alia. And they learn in a very brief moment of time a lot about the Comoricans and their relationship to other species in that part of the galaxy. So,
Okay, that sounds rather interesting. And do you think Comorica would be considered like an Atlantis, or was it Wakanda? I think from the Marvel series, or would be like a Star Wars type of setting.
I would definitely stay away from MCU. That's not what Comorica is. Comorica is really a planet of a species. Oh, it's in the other room. I did a hand drawing of a Comorican. They're a three-legged critter. They have two arms and two tentacles, and a totally different creature from any humanoid. And it turns out the Comoricans are actually a conquering species. They do expansion, but they do it through conquest. And in the third book, because you only see the Comoricans briefly in one chapter in SESG Explorer. In one chapter in Minerva, you see the Comoricans, but in Earth Force One, the third book, you're going to see a lot more of the Comoricans and the way they think and behave and the different types of Comoricans. There's 3 genetic differences in that species, but they're not hiding their planet. they just send out a general message like we did with the golden disc and all that. And they wait for somebody to catch that and respond to it. Uh, Earth, the United States in particular, decided to respond by sending out a fleet to go meet them on their home world. And General Order 1 is Earth's location will always remain secret. Never give it up, no matter what. You will self-destruct your ship before you ever give up the secret of where Earth is at. So
Mhm.
Earth's the hidden kingdom in I guess this world.
Mhm. And plus, you have another mysterious threat that's in there too, according to Minerva, is Plymouth Station. Tell us about that.
Well, Plymouth Station is the first planet discovered in SESG Explorer, and it was turned out to become a battle, and it had crystal source of energy, energy resource in the form of crystals. Uh, by the time uh, Admiral Braddock and his fleet returned, Plymouth Station is now settled by Earth, and they've taken over the mining operations. But in Minerva, they're under constant pirate attacks. But there's a space station called SETA Station in SESG Explorer that sent out a message, and Explorer, the strike group, got attacked by them. And that's the unknown threat that uh, uh, Paul Cunnington in Explorer is given us another strike group in Minerva to go find them and eliminate them as being a threat. And so that's kind of one of the parallel stories going on in Minerva. You have Commodore Kirby out to destroy pirates. You have General Cunnington out to find and eliminate this threat. Um, you have Michael Shea out to find allies. And then you have Admiral Brannigan back around Earth building this fleet as well as managing all these operations. Um, and then the operations officer from SESG Explorer, Captain Lindsay, she has a mission to establish a new colony on another planet
Okay.
and go uh, out and support the diplomat after that. So, got a lot of things going on in Minerva. And I will say, General Connington does finally find uh, that unknown threat, and he's trying to resolve it, but he does resolve it. Just how? Please read the book.
Exactly. If you want to find out more, where can we find all your books at, Chris?
uh, you can find them on the online bookstores, but my website, christopherloric.com, uh, has the four major, under each book, the two books, I have the buttons to the major online stores that you can get them, like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, uh, and Bookshop. But yeah, christopherloric.com. My website, you go to the books, and there they both are. I have an events page like this weekend, the 11th, 12th, 13th. I'll be at the Knoxville Convention Center during Fanboy Comic Con, where big names, celebrities are going to be there, like Gene Simmons, Billy D. Williams, William Shatner, Will Wheaton. Um, I keep forgetting her name. The one who was the captain of the Voyager.
Oh, William Shatner.
Yeah, no, he was.
Or George, not Nimoy, George Takei or something like that.
Oh no, 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 no. This is the TV series Voyager. Uh,
Oh gosh.
I'll have it here shortly.
Yeah,
Fanboy.
because I was trying to think along those lines. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I'm sure we'll come up with it as well too. We're here with the amazing multi-talented author Christopher Loric of the Brannigan Saga, featuring SESG Explorer Minerva here on the Mike Wagner Show. Just a few more things, Chris. What can we expect me 2025 and beyond?
Well, oh, Helen Hunt will be there. Golly, what? So after I get back from the show, I'll be working on the third book in the Bronigan saga, as well as my sci-fi romance. I'm doing both of them at the same time, which is kind of funny because I got, oh, Kate McGrew, that's her name.
Kate
Um,
McGrew, that's the name.
right. I'm obviously keeping them separate, but I'm wanting to get them out, I hope next year. Uh, I mean, I'm rolling pretty good with the third book of the Bronigan saga. Sadly, the Comoricans have come to me and said, we want to be part of the story more. And they're trying to educate me on their rank structure and their military command system. So that way I can write it down, be informative on that. Uh, but and then I have the other aliens in Earth Force One that are part of it. Um, so hopefully in 26 I can get that out the door and publish along with the other novel. And I have a spin-off novel from uh, this trilogy dealing with the colony that Captain Lindsay has to establish.
Okay.
How do they survive on this alien world and they're cut off from Earth? So
That will be interesting. We're looking forward to have you on that for that one. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
for novel writing,
Just in general.
well, that would for the military, it was my mother more than anyone else. And for writing, my dad, because he's the one that had the books and we had those discussions. And now that was mainly Heinlein. Asimov, yeah, but mainly Heinlein was the one. His whole story arc and his novels were very good and interesting. Starship Trooper, the book, not the movie. Um, uh, I'm trying to figure out how to work in some form of armor into my stories that makes sense. SESG Explorer, I don't really describe it, but they have armor that are space suits. Minerva, it turns out that type of armor proves to be a major vulnerability to the Earthmen. So in Minerva, Admiral Brannigan goes and I introduce a fictitious company to develop armor. He goes with very narrow guidelines for them to develop new armor for all the men and women of the military because he doesn't want the casualties that he has just recently taken. He wants to eliminate casualties.
Mhm.
So I'm going to, if I do another offshoot from SESG Explorer, you'll see more about the armor that's in SESG Explorer and that's in Minerva. But then you'll see it evolve as well, because that would be centering around a galactic marine and his career from the time he's joined SESG Explorer to some point in the future, uh, and how they redesigned the entire armor to protect all the Guardians and the Galactic Marines and what that means. Uh, I introduced the Space Marshals in the second book and the way politics play there. They were kind of leeching off the military, but Brannigan solves that problem. And because they're still under his budget, he decides they're going to have better armor than what they currently have.
Okay.
Yes, they're a small team doing law enforcement in the system. They need to live.
Oh, yeah. And we're certainly looking forward to that. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Look how you can serve your country from more of an altruistic side, not, what does the military provide me? Well, the U.S. military has a lot of great benefits, but do you join for the benefits or do you serve the republic? Are you out to make sure our republic stays alive and well? That can be service in the military, the diplomat corps, or any of the sciences. But yeah, let's go forth and serve. I tried to write a entertaining story, but also a thought-provoking one, and one that hopefully can spark that desire for knowledge, the future, but really service to our republic.
Mhm. And I think that's really important as well, too. You got some great advice. We're here with author Christopher Loric of the Brian Gonzaga featuring SESG Explorer and Minerva here on the Mike Wagner Show. Chris, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you soon. Learned a lot. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Glad to have you back. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your books?
Again, ChristopherLoric.com. You can contact me through there. And there's also the bookstores that are there. And I try to keep the event page up to par so you can meet me at conventions.
We will certainly do that as well. Once again, Christopher, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Glad to have you back. We wish all the best. And Christopher, you definitely have a great future ahead.
Great. Thank you. You too.